Yo, what's up, everybody? This is the Small Talk Podcast. I'm Bobby Poe, and I got my man Jay Stone.
Yeah, I'm out here courtesy of Blaze Republic Viral Wear, and then I also will be launching a new brand. It's called Survivor's Guilt.
First and foremost, I appreciate you coming on. Let's get started. Stone, what you been up to lately?
And basically just living, reevaluating myself also for the most part. Find another way to rebrand myself. Definitely doing something different.
How you channeling that energy?
And I'm just taking everything that I get, whether it be negative or positive, whatever the world give me or the people give me, applying that, turning it all to positive.
Does that help you in your designs at all?
Yeah, they definitely inspire that. Everything that I do is, for the most part, is just like, I try to make it unique. I like that midnight navy, that version of navy. It's a little darker, but it still represents what it represents. Try to make it one-on-one so that so they can feel the piece.
That's like a strong type of color. How are you able to create with navy being like one of the solid focal points of your creativity?
But when I use that color, I'm doing something like that's really gonna be unique. It's gonna hit, and everything that's on that primary color is gonna be like bright, gonna stand out. It's gonna be bold. I feel like it's a lot of variations to navy, so I feel like it take a lot to get to that navy. So that's definitely a color I like to use a lot, coupled with black.
I love Blaze Republic. How did you come up with that name?
There was a lot of growing pains with that name. It started off like way back when, I say about like 2011. Back then, I was into a lot of music then. So one of the things that we wanted to do was, something specific. At first, initially, it was like Major Blaze. And then, it just didn't have that ring to it. And then I remember listening to, I think it was the Drought 3, Lil Wayne, Joel, Black Republicans. I thought that was one of the hardest things because back then, it was like Republicans was like one of the most hated. So, I liked it, the fire about it. And then I liked it what Republicans didn't stand for just because people hated them. So I just knew that would be coupled with that. So we put that together.
So how much of an impact do you think the name of a brand has itself versus the person who creates the brand?
I think the name is something that's gonna stand out. It's just like, when you see somebody appearance, you could be like, yeah, they look good, but then you get to talking to them, it might be something different. So you gotta be something that's gonna ring, something that's gonna, somebody said it got a thing to it, just like your name. Like if it got a ring to it, somebody gonna remember that. Especially if it's something they never heard before, and then it's gonna also encourage them to ask questions. How did you come up with this, or like what does it mean to you, and those type of things. So having a good name is important, and also having a good like model to follow. Like when you keep that blueprint like this, Blaze Republic model is built to last and bred for survival.
Oh, that's dope. I like that.
So yeah, so that's definitely something solid, that backs that up as far as like the name goes, and just keeping it going. It's just something that people gonna want to repeat and keep saying.
When you sit down to do a new design, are you the type of creator that likes to create from a blank canvas, or do you like to sit down and be inspired before you work?
Yeah, I like to be inspired, and it's crazy. Like with designing clothing and anything else, like being inspired is a little different. You don't have to like see it. You can hear something, and it can inspire you to create. So me, I'll start from ground zero for the most part. But if it's like something like that's trending, like let's say like some shoes just came out or something like that, that's kind of the blueprint to that colorway or that design, or like even environments, inspire. Like this would be like, a bathing suit environment, that I could create off of, or just like even the sand, they create some like great details like the waves. There's a lot of stuff that you can be inspired by. I think everybody just find a inspiration from different things, but people always think you got to see it. You can hear stuff too, and that get you inspired to create something pretty dope.
What mood are you in when you at your highest level of creativity?
Probably when I'm in the hurt phase. So like when I'm going through something, or I'm feeling some type of way, I create my best products. I think like those draw like, I think pain and not even some suffering, but pain bring out like a lot of inspiration to people because you know you always got that mentality like I'm gonna overcome, I'm gonna prove this person wrong, or you know in actuality you know you just proving yourself right. But yeah, I got a lot of stuff from that. Like I think I made some of my best pieces like being in that mindset. But you know, like I said, the hate is part of in the title. You know.
Do you remember the first piece of clothing you created? The first item you created?
Yeah, I do. I used to work for this company. It was in New York. It was like probably one of the first jobs I ever had after high school. You know, it was just like while I was in college, just to you know do something. It was called Custom Tees and Why. It was like one of the first like apps you can make like your own custom shirts. Like we usually just make shirts, like 10 shirts a day, and we just like hold one of them a hit. And you know, the thing was the residuals was horrible. You was getting like probably a quarter a shirt, like that would sell, and they selling the shirts for $20. So my first shirt was a screen print shirt, and I'm pretty sure like a lot of you know my close people at that time still got those shirts. I seen somebody wearing them, like you know just while we're in high school type of thing. It was a Blaze Republic. It had stars and it had different banners. It was like around the time when emojis started popping out, because that's kind of was a scheme like at the time. So we used emojis and we used some script writing, and it was screen print. We had different variations. I think only 3 of those colorways out of the 20 that I printed were like not one-on-ones. So they were like family shirts, like the whole family like took photo shoots in them. And yeah, that was my very first shirt, and I'm still proud of those shirts. You know,
so, like, I know you personally, so I know you are a natural creator. What made you turn to clothing to put your creativity into?
I think clothing just gravitated to me. Like, as far as, like, it was just something that I feel like we always gonna need. We always gonna need clothing. Definitely, like, more or less, I grew up in a situation where, you know, my mom was a single mother. So she wasn't like affording all the major brands and stuff like that. So at the end of the day, she always taught me like, you know, you ain't got to be like everybody else. You know, you could just, you know, do you. And that's a lot of the stuff that I wore to school was stuff that people wasn't wearing. And I was comfortable with it, you know, because it made me realize that it's the person and not what you're wearing. So I definitely, you know, instill that in my son also. He wears everything. Like now I'm just at a point in life where if I like it, I buy it. I don't care who made it. Fashion is fashion. It might not be that to you, but it's that to somebody else, whoever made it. So I definitely just try to transition that into a lot of what I do, and just keep it affordable nonetheless. But a lot of that stuff started in elementary. You know, that's when where I realized a lot of the fashion was, because you got to think I went to school in the 90s. So like during that time, I feel like that's one of the most powerful eras for fashion. Like my favorite one at least. Even though I wasn't an adult in that era, I still kind of even transition that now to my current. So, you know, a lot of people think like I dress different, and I just relate more to that style of the 90s, like, you know, the waistcoat, which people call like a vest. Now, you know, it's a little different, but yeah, I still like the 90s. That's probably my favorite era of fashion to me.
So you said something earlier about creating with a new style that's coming out, or a new style that came out. How far are you ahead on like maybe like a Nike design shoe or Adidas style shoe to keep up where your merchandise can drop around the same time that item drop, so it'd be like a no-brainer?
A lot of this stuff is, you know, always in the works. Like it was crazy. Up until like probably 2 years ago, I had like a endorsement deal, a partnership. I'm gonna say not endorsement deal, a partnership, and you know, jeans were on the table, shoes, just like a whole outfit. Like that's what I consider like, you know, what I separate from like a mainstream brand and like just you know, just a regular.
Independent?
Yeah, I would say independent too. You know, it's like a lot of people, like everybody got their lane. So like, you know, Pelly make coats, but then you got Louis. People wear a Louis shirt, Louis belt, shoes. You know, the whole outfit. You know, I just try to keep up as far as when it comes to those type of things, just to, you know, always have them in the works but just have it on standby. Like when it comes down to like when the time is right, those things will drop. Especially when those partnerships are right as well. I can't say that it's just me all the time. A lot of the time, I use people around me, like as far as like the support system go. Like I run stuff through like my guys, they really good on fashion. So, if it's a hit or miss, they'll let me know. And, that's the level of like rapport that we got with each other. So like when those things, like shoes, they came out because my guy, he really big in shoes. You know what I'm saying? He like, nah, that ain't it, bro. Maybe not like right now, but
Dog, that's like a whole department if you think about it. And so that's dope.
yeah,
that's dope.
like you get, you use those people like that's your team. You put them like,
and it's free.
And I was just gonna say that. Yes, everything is free with them guys. I never charge the family, never. So yeah, they word is bond. If it's not, it's bell.
So let me ask you this. So let's just say you got some merch that ain't pumping. It ain't doing like you want it to do. What's some other ways to make money in fashion outside of pumping your own product?
So I'm not gonna lie to you. So my thing is this. My whole goal, which crazy enough, my uncle taught me. He taught us to create little overhead. So that's why like the viral wear part come in. So we making it really in small bulks. So we'll put a shirt out there, and somebody click on it. It allows you to customize that shirt. So it's always going to be something you want. Okay. The only thing we probably buying in like bulks are the shirts. And, everyone going to need a white tee or some type of colored tee. So if that's the case and the print doesn't do well, we could just put whatever on that shirt and we still going to sell it for whatever. And now we can create that too. Like whatever the concept is that you asking for, we going to get it done. Only thing we going to do is put our imprint on it, and it's going to be one-on-one. So but outside of just fashion though, it's just like now with the new thing, it's going to be like brand development. Just working on that and helping people get to where they want to be in their lines of whatever lane they want to be in. So that'd be the new opportunity I'll be seeking in the future. Just working out the details now, and once the details is secure, that'll probably be my next lane that I'm in, brand development.
That's cool. How do you feel about the business aspect of fashion with trademarking and branding and ownership?
That's crazy. Before I just got here, I was just talking to my cousin. So my cousin, he's out in LA. He's graduated from UCLA, man. Congratulations. He got a business degree. So the thing about it, probably like, I say 2013, 14, I had that issue. So I didn't really know too much about it then. Everything is a lot of growing pains. So what ended up happening, just a long story short and a short story long, I ended up buying this logo off of somebody for Blaze Republic, and it was, real unique to me, and it was kind of like my baby, so it was kind of like what we was running with. It was doing good. Down the road, like probably a year later, someone ended up buying the rights to the logo from the people I bought it from. So in lieu of that, I get an email talking about payments to do.
For using the logo?
Yeah.
Your logo.
I guess more or less of it, they was telling the people when they sold them, like the app or whatever they sold them, that they was receiving residuals from me, which wasn't true. Like, a lot of things too, always own everything. You know what I'm saying? So I know for sure it's paid in full, but the person was trying to sue me for, using the logo. So we ended up having a little, arbitration, a little settlement, and, we just don't use it no more. We ended up getting one redesigned by my guy, Peanut. He ended up doing the current logo for Blaze Republic right now, and, just moving forward. But I think, like, a lot of times with business and clothing, you got to educate yourself because that stuff can cost you. Because it could have easily just came in. Luckily, we didn't use that logo on none of the clothing that we sold. If not, we would have had to pay that person because they technically own the rights to that. And just make sure that every document is authentic. You know what I'm saying? A lot of those relationships don't be organic. Because somebody definitely just tried to play us out our spot for that. But, end up lucking out on that situation. We didn't have to pay anybody. We just end up, not using that logo no more and moving away from it.
What inspired you to become a correction officer?
It was either, there's a lot of it was just more or less like not trying to be a product of my environment. even though I'm not born in Milwaukee, I was raised here. I'm from Los Angeles, but I was raised in the 53206. You know, and that's considered one of the most dangerous zip codes in the city. And I just remember like growing up when I think our block, we stayed on 22nd and Townsend. It was one of the first blocks that had like cameras on the pole. You know what I'm saying? That's like a lot of like when a lot of the gangs was just like young and reckless, you know, just a lot of that going on. So it's either more or less of like, you know, getting in to go along or getting in where you fit in versus, you know, I had a couple friends, you know, that didn't make it out of there. You know, I could have easily been one of them people that was in there. So, you know, I just went right where my other friends went left. So it's sad to say, but I just let them, you know, inspire the moves that I was making. You know, it didn't take too many times for me to do the wrong thing to get it right. I know where I didn't want to be at, and I ain't gonna lie, I push that a lot now. I just don't see that. I just don't see no purpose being in no county eating no sandwiches. Like, nobody or nothing. You know, it just don't make sense. Like, I just, you know, it just wasn't nothing I wanted to do. It just slow up all the motion. Yeah, so when I decided to be in, you know, corrections, it was something that, you know, it did everything it needed to do. You know what I'm saying? It paid the bills, it helped me provide for my family. And, you know, it definitely just it encourages me to make better decisions every day. For sure.
What were some of your first expectations before you set foot in the door?
Everything I saw on TV. Like I think a lot of people get that confused with corrections, like the stuff you see on TV. So, you know, a lot of that was what I expected, but I didn't expect to see the people who I saw in there, and either, you know, that kind of changed your perspective too, because you know a lot of these people, man. A lot of these people be like, you know, and it's crazy.
On a personal level.
On a personal level, yeah. Like, you know, even though people get corrections confused with the police.
Right.
And,
True
in
that,
lieu
true
of that, you know, that's the people that brought you here and not the people that's watching while you here or nothing like that. But yeah, it just, my expectations, everything I saw on TV, and I'm not gonna lie, it was like half of that probably, or what I saw just on TV. But
how big of a culture shock was it for you?
It was a culture shock to me for as far as like the numbers and the statistics. Like, you know, it just, you never really know like who going through what. Like people you ain't seen in years, just where you been at.
Oh,
yeah, like,
right,
bro, we ain't seen you since the last powwow. Bro, you just in here, huh? And then you never, and the toll it takes on people, man. It's people in there like be 19, be hair gone, you know, grayed up,
teeth gone.
Yeah, man, you know, just looking like what they going through. Like, it'd be the craziest thing you ever seen. Right? And then it's just like I said, definitely encourage you to make that right turn instead of that left joint every time. So yeah, it was something to behold for sure. Like up in there.
All right, so let me ask you this: on a day in roll call, what's a good post you gonna hear and you gonna be like, all right, I'm gonna have a good day today?
Yes, so young me, like First Six or the North Building, young you know, fresh legs and stuff like that, it's all right. Anywhere on the floor. Old me, you can put me in the dorm. All I gotta do is, you know, get up, patrol here and there. You know, it's really just a casual conversation. You know, the older you is, I guess, in there, the more rapport you got, the more stuff come with it. Your day is smoother. The older you be like, man, get this, man. I need to go sit down somewhere and get up every 30 to 45 minutes versus, you know, just roaming around all day, just being always in the mix. Because as you get older, you don't want to really be in the mix like that anyway in real life.
To explain the mix of what?
Oh, just because of a lot of like disturbance going on, or, you know, you constantly getting called to take person from A to B, sometimes Z, depending on where that area is. And then the mix is like a lot of like altercations, whether they be physical or verbal. Sometimes, shit, even amongst staff, you know, you got to deal with those things too when, you know, some the peers are in a crisis, and, you know, it's just a lot of being in the mix, like in the way, like, and you just trying to prevent a whole bunch of stuff from happening, but, you know, it's only so many people for so many posts for so many things. So, you know, you get a little thinned up, especially in 8 hours of doing a trapathon through there, because those some long hallways going from a building to a building. And sometimes you're the only person in that building or in that facility, depending on the day of the week.
Yeah, staff pulled thin. You have more than one disturbance at a time.
Oh yeah.
It's funny because I gotta ask you this: have you ever been running all day on the floor and you finally sit down and get something to eat, and you hear them magic words on the radio? All available, 22.
It's always as soon as you sit down, as soon as the food done, because you already know the microwaves take like 5 minutes. They was trash. So you know what I mean. It take you a long time to prepare your food to get down to where you need it to be at, get it to the right temp and stuff. But as soon as you get down, you're like, damn, I forgot a fork, spoon. I gotta go upstairs and get that. That's like 5 or 10 minutes looking for that. And as soon as you about to take that first bite, or after you take that first bite, yeah, physical altercation. Somebody done fell out in the hallway, medical emergency. You know, somebody spit on somebody, somebody threw some pee, you know, crazy stuff. Just like, oh, they ain't like they visit, you know, just violating these orders. It's just a lot of stuff going on in that little 30 minutes that you even get to get a break. If you get it, sometimes, you know, they just got to pay that forward because you might not get it sometimes. You might not get it.
And it ain't no banking it.
So, yeah, you just got to pay that out. So, yeah, and then I think a lot of people don't give it the respect it deserves, for sure. Like, I just think, like, you know, there's a lot of credit to be had there. I know, like, not to take nothing away from anybody else that's in, like, law enforcement or anything like that. But I feel like, you know, corrections is, like, a really, really underappreciated and understaffed situation to where, like, these people, like, working. Don't get me wrong, it might not look like people doing a lot, but coming in, crashing on my hours, and, you know, some of this is, like, either voluntold or mandatory. So it's,
yeah, so we talking about hours. So on average, on a average day, how many hours are you working to avoid getting forced to do another shift?
Oh, I'm doing 16s. I'm doing 16s to just avoid the force. Then I can, you know, manipulate the schedule from there on out. Like, as far as, like, getting an off day, or I'm going to work their 8 hours so I can get my 8 hours that I'm supposed to be off. But yeah, just avoid getting a force. At minimum, you got to work at least 12, and that's a gamble. That 16, you guarantee you going home regardless. After
because the gamble on the 12, like, yeah, you came in early 4 hours, but now you got to stay 4 hours later.
Yeah, we're gonna pop you for that back end, or that whatever end you thought you was free. We're getting that. We need all of that.
What type of mental toll does that take on a person to know your day is not your day? You are a public servant, and this is what you signed up to do.
I ain't gonna lie, like that, like looking at it from the outside in now, man, it took a big toll on me. Like, and me personally, I just, you know, I realized, like, you kind of get lost in there. Like, you start going through the motions. You stop doing what you want to do and just doing what they require of you. So that just become a part of you every day. Like, you taking it home, you ain't like leaving it there no more. In the beginning, I think a lot of it's just, you know, you're just happy to have a job, happy to be making some money, you know, and then, like I said, you're making it in a large abundance. So it's kind of like, you know, it kind of young you deters away from, like, you know, feeling that way. But as time goes on, you kind of realize, you know, money ain't everything. You know, it costs you your peace. Sometimes I know it even costs people families. And, you know, that's when it starts, like, you can't leave it at work no more. You start taking it home to, you know, your significant other, and even your kids, you know, they suffer from you, like, going through those things and feeling the way you feel, because at the end of the day, you, like, not really mad at what's going on at home, but, you know, it's just on you, like, you can't get it off.
It's a build-up of everything coming from all angles. I remember I started in corrections at, I think, 19 or 20, and at that age, it changed the trajectory.
Especially at an early age, because it take a lot of people a long time to even, like, go to their first trip or buy their first car, own their first home. And it's people, like in corrections, I felt like it was kind of like a cheat code, because you didn't have to necessarily go to, like, get a high education to do this.
To ball on that level.
Correct, yeah. And you know, like I said, there's some people in there that's at the lowest level, and they make more than the motherfucker that run the jail. So, you know, that's kind of, that puts you in a, yeah. So that kind of make you, you know, you sit different, you know, you brag different, you stand tall. You know what I'm saying? But
you living the life that they lie about living. And and that's why it's like I told you that, like, yo, I realized one of the things I realized later on in life, after I won in life, was that I had won probably like 10 years ago, but I was still chasing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Once you realize I won, it changes the way people see you because they can't manipulate you no more. When you finally realize who you are, oh, it's a wrap. Keep your foot on their neck. Don't never show weakness. You know, so with that type of mentality, how does that translate into keeping your edge as far as like this place keeps me able to talk how I want to talk, drive what I want to drive, wear whatever I want to wear. But then on the back end, it's the bullshit you got to put up with to maintain that life.
There's pros and cons to it. Really, I got to a point where I just realized, like, I ain't gonna be here forever. So I gotta put myself in a position to sustain that with or without this situation. So, even before, no, it wasn't like that. You know what I'm saying? That situation put me in a position to where I'm still doing it after that. So, I never really understood that till like probably about halfway through. So like halfway through, and that, which is probably 5 years, I believe. So it took me about that much time after, to realize like, hey man, you gotta think past this and be able to live like to where you can enjoy like the fruits of your labor. I felt like me personally, should nobody who work in corrections be in no bad situation. Like it was just so much money to be had, and man, it was yours for the taking. So I just felt like, a lot of people, like, if you made those even okay decisions, you have to be the best. But at a young age, like, yeah, it's a lot of money coming, and it's a lot of different things you can do with it. So I just felt like, you should be in a good position, leaving there, or, while you're there especially.
What was it like going from the rank of officer and then the next the rank of sergeant?
I'm not gonna lie, kind of was a smooth transition for me. I felt like when I finally did get it, I felt like it was already just, I was already operating in that capacity already. So the transition was smooth. My peers made me feel that way because they looked at me for that leadership, especially a lot for the guidance. Just being young in that position, it was a little flack, from, a lot of the older people, but what I realized at the end of the day, they're going to be okay. You know what I'm saying? It was never like nothing personal. It's just business. And once you realize I ain't the one in promoting me, you'll probably feel better about it. You know what I'm saying? You taking up with the wrong person. But yeah, like my peers made me feel like comfortable in that position because they put me there. Leadership did too, as a lot of that stuff that I was doing already in that capacity just made me comfortable there. Everything that came with it when it was time, I guess. But yeah.
How did that promotion change the way you saw things inside the jail?
Man, it changed it a lot because I got to see it from a supervisor standpoint. When you at the officer's standpoint, you look at stuff different. Like, you just, because as an officer, you. When you're a supervisor, I'm responsible for me, you, and everybody under us. So you're responsible for a lot of people, so you can't just think for you no more. You got to think for those people that you supervise, and you got to learn not the mannerisms, but a little bit of the body language that the staff reads off, that you can handle everybody accordingly. Because I realized you can't mishandle the staff, because a lot without them it's kind of like it's all you.
Yeah, they like infantry in a sense.
Yeah, so
they on the floor, they the floor soldiers. Yeah.
Yeah, they're front line.
Yeah, front line. Yeah.
Yeah, so you gotta handle them with care or appropriately anyway. But yeah, I realized you're more responsible for people, and the more you go up, the more people you're responsible for. So it creates more. You got to be more responsible when you handling people. Better talking. You got to improve too. You can't just sit up there and be stagnant just because I'm a supervisor now. Don't mean I don't need to work on how I handle people or how I talk to people, how I deal with situations. All that stuff needs to grow because everybody's going through pain and growing and stuff too. So it's gonna be a lot of growth in between.
What was it like for you when you young in this supervisory position and you had to correct the behavior of one of somebody who could be old enough to be your daddy?
I feel like, it might sound a little throw it a little bit, but I feel like you just bring it down a little bit. Okay. So you gotta. I realize you can't put a age on on like maturity. So I realized like it's really a mindset. Like a lot of people, like I said, get with the going just to get in, come in there and do what they got to do. As far as like staff wise, I think it's kind of the same. So we both here to do a job. You got to understand, like I'm in this position, you in that one. So my job is to make sure that you okay, everything's going all right. This ain't nothing that I want to do, but it's something I got to do so that we all make it home to where we got to go, and that we all stay employed, of course. So I just feel like you talk to them with that level of respect. Like, yeah, I know that you're older, but you're not looking at it from my perspective, and I'm just letting you know that this is not personal, it's policy. So these things, you just put that out. I think you just put it out there, and understand that if you ain't gonna be that person view, and then with the older people, I feel like you just gotta somewhat give it 60-40, with them having 60, of course, and you having 40. It's a compromise. They're gonna compromise that I'm the supervisor, and then I'm gonna compromise that they older and that their views are different. But at the end of the day, the goal is all the same for all of us, everyone in this facility. We gotta follow the policies, and we gotta do what we gotta do to get there.
When you got promoted to sergeant, what were some of the things you noticed you had to change about yourself in order to do the job effectively?
I guess listen to understand versus react. So being an officer, man, I felt like it was everybody versus me, and and it was coming from all angles. So it's like when you get in a supervisor position, a lot of people support you at a higher power. So you got a little more support, you got a little more power, a little more understanding like how stuff go, and your views have to definitely change because I'm not looking at it from an officer standpoint, I'm looking at it from a supervisor. And I felt like the older the person that trained me or the supervisors that I talked to, that I got a better understanding of how things work. So it's just like I felt like I just had to listen more versus try to just react to everything. So listening more definitely helps a lot with like people who just really want to vent. They just really going through a lot, or they got a lot going on, or it's just a new feel for them, especially if they were like younger. So that's like their first job. They don't want to mess it up, and there's some people out there that's really like living for other people. Like they can't afford to lose a job, or but they want the job, but they can't deal with the stuff that come with it. So a lot of listening versus just reaction.
And that's one of the things. I was always impressed by your leadership skills you had at such a young age. Where did you get your leadership skills from?
I'm gonna say my mother. My mom, she definitely taught me a lot. Like, she always taught us, taught me that you can tell by how stand-up people is off of their posture. And that just like it resonates with you, like to where like you look at people and how they carry themselves, you can just go so much farther just like with a presentation versus like actually speaking. But if you can articulate yourself, you're gonna get in the room.
Nobody can judge you based on.
Yeah, I feel like if you got that, you can like talk yourself into any room and you're gonna get in there. But some people might see you over there like, oh, that's a hood guy. No, we don't need him over here. But he come over here and, he talk the lingo. He can adapt to the situation. What I'm saying? He's going to impress you. He's going to get in there. So, yeah, it's just like a lot of that. But my leadership skills come from her, most definitely. She was a role model to me. I had some other people that was role models to me, too. But they were more like in some people would say it's a negative light, but I don't look at it like that. I feel like they was doing what they had to do for them to survive in those situations. And,
based on the options they had at the time. Understood.
Yeah, because, a lot of people, like, we grew up in my neighborhood, they always taught us, like, it was like a little saying they used to say, like, the streets don't need a resume. You just you gonna do what you gonna do. Like, and, them was different type of mentors, though. And, having those people around me, it gave me options. Like, I actually got to see, like, the consequences from those situations versus me walking blindly into them. So, you know what? Hey, bro, he went left. Oh, that's where he at. Oh, it went straight. It went right. You know what I mean? You get to see it. You know, it's in 4K for you. So it's like, which decision did you like? Which outcome did you like the best? It's like those doors you pick, but you get to see the doors open versus having to open the doors. So you
kind
know,
of like that red or blue pill type of situation.
yeah, but you see the outcome before you take the pill. You know, then you can make a better decision. So that was a lot of like my growing up.
That's an interesting perspective. I never looked at it that way.
Yeah, that's how we saw a lot of the stuff. You know, it was coming around us full circle, and like, you know, a lot of us just was blessed to make a right turn and, you know, not look back. And, you know, it's just a lot of positive vibes out there. You know, a lot of people from the neighborhood did make it though. You know, proud of them.
So I can say that at one point in my life I had that same view as you, but then the way things started like developing and like playing out, I started to feel like, nah, it wasn't the turn I could have made. This is starting to feel destined. Like, you know, so that's why, you know, but like, I guess you just, you know, I got there at a certain point. Like, once you make that turn, can't nothing stop you. Like, nothing, nobody can say or do can stop you. Once you hit that turn in life, you good.
Yeah, and that's true to a degree. Some people that's still going left, you know, and they still, you know, and they flourishing. But, you know, it'd be a couple speed bumps in there, you know, that kind of deter you, like, you know what, this way ain't working, man. You might want to go the other way. But like I said, I was blessed to see it in 4K, to see, you know, how those paths went. And, you know, I'm not going to say I didn't go left for a little bit, so I know it's a way to turn around. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's just like, you know, I kind of feel like the situation, like, kind of crazy, like you feel like the inside man. Like, you know, you get what I'm saying?
You
like,
don't win anyway.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of like you know what's going on. So I think you just got to be just like humble in your situation. Like, just be more aware. Like, it's cool just to know what you see, but, you know, you got to be knowledgeable about what's going on too. So that's a big part of it too, just to know, educate yourself on what's going on. Just take everything as an educational term. Everything
you learned up to this point, if you can go back 10 years and talk to yourself, what advice did you pick up along the way that you just have to tell your true self?
It's a few things, you know, I can't speak on right now, but one of the things be more like, man, just save, invest, and appreciate. Man, 10 years went fast, man. You don't really appreciate that time till it's gone. There's a lot of stuff I wish I could have did in my 20s. And, like, the bulk of it's just traveling, man. I traveled probably more in my 30s, being, like, shit, like, the third decade into my life. Just more than I ever traveled in my 20s. I think, like, you see a lot when you travel. Like, and it humbles you to, like, to make you realize, like, you know, the city bad, but that's to you. There's somebody that will swap places with you.
In a heartbeat.
Man, drop of a dime, man. Like, just traveling to them different countries and, you know, seeing how they live. You know, it's a different level of toxic there. Like, and, you know, that shit's really unhealthy. Like, our toxic is, you know, us messing with women we ain't supposed to be messing with, or another significant other, you know, and they crazy. You know what I mean? You see what I'm saying? Like, that's some people, that's like a lot of variations of toxic in America. Like, for us anyway. So it's just like
everybody, but you have to travel or get outside of a certain like bubble before you can actually appreciate and realize that.
Yeah, and that's like, even like anywhere I go, man, I'll be ready to come home in 3 days. Like, it just be like, you know, I kind of miss home. Ain't nothing like sleeping in your own stuff and, you know, seeing your own scenes. And then like a lot of it's just that, like I said, you appreciate it, it humbles you to a degree. And, you know, I think like, yeah, that's why I tell myself, appreciate best.
What's one of your favorite places to travel?
Right now, I'm gonna say Cancun.
Okay.
Cancun is a dope place to travel. I like there because, you know, you get a level of hospitality that you don't get nowhere else. Like, the steaks are cool, but, you know, I feel like they appreciate you more out there, but not because you, like, you know, paying for the situation. But the level of care is just different. Like, when you go to Cancun, or even, I think, anywhere like out the country wise, like Jamaica, you know, stuff like that.
You got that American title.
Yeah, you know, and they appreciate, like, despite what we see on TV, like, about, you know, this war and that war and immigration and stuff like that, the stuff still just it's a level of hospitality that you don't get nowhere else. Like even down south, you know, they say Southern hospitality. I haven't been down south. It's cool, you know, it looked good, you know, but you know what I'm saying, that treatment is different out there, and you know everything is like the food is better, liquor is better, other things are better. You know, it's just a different vibe out there. So you get the way. I mean, you get to get away in peace. You ain't got to look over your shoulder every 2 seconds. You know, it's different.
All right, let me ask you this: if you had to pick a solo trip by yourself or a trip with the fellas, which one are you gonna be able to enjoy the most?
My guys, I'm gonna say guys trip, man. I'm gonna say that because we all soloists at the end of the day, so we don't really gotta like. We just had a trip and we was all there together, but we didn't do everything together. Like,
everybody kind of like dipped out.
Yeah, you know, we'll link up for breakfast, dinner. You know, go to the club that night. You know, it's like we at home. So you know, because we do it often. So like, you know, everybody comfortable moving around. And when you move around, it's like out the country, you got to move a little lower than you move in the States. Yeah. Then you got to move a little lower, like you just, like, you know, them traps be out there. Yeah, you moving around really like the president. If you
need some
honest.
Ransom insurance when you leaving the country.
Oh, yeah. Hey, we say that every time we go, man. Don't nobody get taken, man. We only brought so much. Yeah, just, you know, be privy to what's going on, because, you know, there's some traps out there.
I remember one time I was tripping. I was like, you need to buy ransom insurance to go to this place. I don't want to go.
So they got insurance for that. Everything. Yep, everything. And it's, you know, it makes sense. Like, dude, like, because you got to think, it's just not an idea somebody came up with. So that should happen to somebody. Like, it might be 1 in a million, but it happened. You know what I'm saying? And you just got to take that into consideration when you're doing stuff. Like, everything is, you know, is valuable. So you got to have it covered. So I like that, though. That's funny.
If you can go here, right, what's one of the worst trips you ever took where you said, dog, I'm good. I just want to, I'm done. I'm going to just chill for a while.
The worst trip I ever took? Man, that's a tough cover. I ain't gonna lie, I think I was on a cruise, and I was going from, I want to say, Miami to Nassau. And I mean, that shit was horrible, man. I mean, like, everything went wrong. They was telling us, like, yeah, you know, the satellite went down. The water ain't working. I'm like, we on water. Don't flush the toilets. Like, you know, somebody ended up getting some drugs on the boat. They locked the boat down, had the dogs running through the hallways, sniping people out. Man, they held all our liquor captive, man. That was like probably the worst experience I ever had. And then when I got from, like, this all happened on the boat. Then we get off the boat. They tell us, like, hey, everybody got to be back in 8 hours. Man, they ended up leaving like 3 people. And
where?
This was in Nassau.
Wow.
Ended up leaving like 3 people. Then they was at Senior Frog, I think. So they tell you, like, they got a little countdown board at Senior Frog. Tell them, like, hey, boat depart in 30 minutes. It's about a 30-minute walk, so you shouldn't even be seeing 30 on this board. So I'm like, man, they leave and you see people, like, I don't know if you ever seen on the internet where you see people running to the boat and like, oh, like, that shit happens, man. And like they try to wait as long as they can, man. So, but yeah, they spent the block on the water, bro. When they was like, yeah, cause we supposed to get back the next morning, cause it's like really a couple hours from Nassau to Miami, but it's a 3-day cruise. But they like, oh, they made an announcement, oh, we have to go back, we forgot something. And then you see people getting on board.
They forgot people?
Yeah, man. That's probably the worst trip I ever went on, man. I think, I forgot what cruise line it was. I want to say Carnival so bad, but I can't recall. Drink package was trash. Yeah, food was horrible. So yeah, that's probably the worst trip I think I've ever been on.
Okay, let's flip it. What trip was your moment? You know you had a moment. Like, you can't. It's undeniable. That was a moment I had, and I don't care if it was caught on video or not. I had my moment.
Man, I'm gonna say probably this last trip I just went on, man. We was in Punta Cana. It was for my best friend's birthday. He was out there, and man, we don't remember nothing, man. Like, it was crazy, man. All I remember is somebody saying, "Policia, policia," like, policia. So shit, you know that's universal.
Get up
Like
out
we
the
know what that
way.
means. So I remember that. I wake up like the next morning, my female friend, she tell me like, dog, last night went down. So long story short, it was these and some people robbing people in the club on the resort, and they like stole these people's phones. They did the Find My iPhone app. So pull up at the door, they just got the squabbling, man. It was crazy, and I mean like it was all on cam, man. Like it, like damn near went viral. It was all on cam, and shit, I didn't record nothing. My guy, I'm sending him the photos. He's sending me stuff. I'm like, bro, I don't remember none of this. But yeah, man, it went down, man. It was that was probably like the best. Like,
Where was you at?
Punta Cana in Dominican Republic.
The DR.
Yeah, I mean, they was like, yeah, you know, y'all, it's time to go. You know, I was on my way out the door anyway, so I was like, all right, cool. I would have been left. I heard the policia part, so you know, it was time to go. But yeah, man, they do some quick investigations out there, man. I mean, like, that was like 4 a.m. They had it wrapped up by 8 a.m.
They knew everything, everybody.
Yep, complete. It filed and everything, yep.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah, man. We had a good time though, you know. Shout out to Royalton Cheek up in Punta Cana, man.
You get some sugar cane when you was over there?
Man, no, we tried not to leave the resort. We left the resort, man, to go. Where the hell did we go? Man, I let them convince me to go to an excursion, man. We was off the resort. It took us we went to the Drunk Pools cruise. It took us 3 hours, man. The dude, he finessed us, man. That's why, like, when you go out the country, always move private. Never share nothing, because shared is different out there. Like, shared mean they going to every resort, and they finna pack y'all on there. Like, every seat getting taken. Ain't no empty travels out there. Private just means it's just you and whoever you with. But shared, man, we went to every resort, man, and people driveways like mansion long, so they couldn't go on the resort. They had to wait at the driveway. People walking down, sweating, taking like a mile walk to get to the van. And it was hectic, man. Yeah, so like, yeah, that's probably the one.
Cool. Well, I appreciate you coming on the podcast and kicking it
course.
with me, man. It's always a pleasure. Hey, anytime,
likewise.
you always welcome back.